Sound of heavy breathing. Wind howling. A door creaks open. Voiceover, calm but tense. It's 3:15 a.m. in Amityville, New York. The air inside the house feels wrong, heavy, thick, like it's breathing with them. George Lutz stands in the doorway, his skin slick with cold sweat. He doesn't remember waking up. He doesn't remember walking down the stairs. But now, he's standing in front of the boathouse, barefoot, shivering, staring into the black water. From behind him, a whisper, faint, low, like it's inside his head. Whisper, softly echoing, "Don't leave." He spins around, nothing. The house looms behind him, silent, the upstairs windows staring back like glowing eyes in the dark. Then from inside, a scream. His wife, Kathy. Heartbeats rise. The whisper returns, louder this time. George runs toward the house, but as he reaches the door, it slams shut in his face. The lights flicker. And from inside, the walls seem to breathe. Voiceover lowers to a chilling calm. That night was only day 17. The Lutz family still had 11 more nights to survive. Beat of silence. But to understand how they got here, how a happy family found themselves trapped inside one of America's most infamous homes, we have to rewind. Cue eerie, slow piano music. Back to December 1975, when George and Kathy Lutz thought they were moving into their dream home. Not realizing that every brick, every beam, and every shadow in that house still remembered what had happened there just 13 months before. Camera slowly pans to the for sale sign creaking in the wind as faint police sirens echo in the distance. Voiceover, whispering. Because before the Lutz family, there was another family. And none of them made it out alive. The screen fades in from black. A faint police radio crackles. Snow drifts across an empty suburban street. Then, a flash of red and blue lights. Voiceover, calm, investigative tone with a chilling undercurrent. November 13, 1974. Amityville, Long Island. At 6:30 in the morning, a call came through to the local police station. A young man's voice, shaky, breaking apart between sobs. He said just 6 words. "My family's been shot, they're all dead." Cut to sound of sirens. Officers push open the door of 112 Ocean Avenue. Inside, the smell of gunpowder still hangs in the air. Every light in the house is off. And what they find inside will haunt the small town of Amityville forever. 6 people, the DeFeo family, all lying face down in their beds. 2 parents. 4 children. Each one shot at close range while they slept. No signs of struggle. No broken windows. No forced entry. Low thump of a heartbeat builds under the narration. The only survivor was Ronald DeFeo Jr., the oldest son, 23 years old. He told police he'd just come home and found them like that. But detectives noticed something strange. His story changed every time he told it. And when they finally pressed him, he confessed. He said he'd done it. He'd killed them all. Brief silence. Then his voice, realistic but dramatized, echoes through a dark void. Ronald, whispering, "Once I started, I couldn't stop. They wouldn't stop screaming." Voiceover, soft, eerie. But what chilled investigators the most wasn't the crime itself. It was how it happened. Neighbors reported hearing nothing that night. No gunshots, no screaming. Each victim was found in their bed, undisturbed. As if they never even woke up. And then came the question that no one could answer. How could one man use a rifle that loud? And not wake anyone else in the house? Slow zoom on the house. The lights flicker faintly in an upstairs window. That was the first time locals whispered about the house itself. How something in those walls might have kept everyone silent. After the DeFeo murders, the property sat empty for over a year. No one wanted it. Not even realtors would show it after dark. Until one winter morning, when George and Kathy Lutz saw the listing. A 6-bedroom colonial on the river. Swimming pool. Boathouse. $80,000, practically a steal. They thought they'd found their forever home. Wind whistles through the trees. A faint door creaks open. Voiceover, dark, quiet tone. But what they didn't know was that the house was waiting. Camera zooms slowly toward the attic window as faint whispers rise beneath the music. Whisper, layered, barely audible, "Don't move in." Cut to black. A single heartbeat echoes. Voiceover, final line of the chapter, slow and haunting. And on December 18, 1975, the Lutz family carried the last of their boxes through the front door of 112 Ocean Avenue. From that moment on, nothing was ever the same again. Soft morning light seeps through frosted windows. The camera drifts across moving boxes, Christmas decorations, and the faint sound of laughter. Voiceover, warm, nostalgic tone. December 18, 1975. It was supposed to be a new beginning. George and Kathy Lutz had just married earlier that year. They dreamed of raising their kids, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy, in a peaceful riverside town. And 112 Ocean Avenue felt perfect. The house was beautiful, white siding, dark shutters, and that signature gambrel roof that looked almost like a smiling face. Except, when the light hit it just right, those upstairs windows didn't look like eyes. They looked like something watching. Subtle drone sound creeps in. Voiceover shifts tone, lower, slower. Still George brushed it off. He was practical, logical. He didn't believe in ghosts. But the moment they stepped through the door, the air changed. Kathy later said it felt heavy, like someone was standing behind her. She told George she smelled something strange, sweet like perfume. But it vanished when he checked. Sound of faint flies buzzing near a window. By nightfall the house seemed to come alive. The front door opened by itself, twice. Windows slammed shut upstairs. And their dog Harry wouldn't stop barking at the boathouse. That night, George woke up at 3:15 a.m. Something pulled him from sleep, a sound maybe, or something else. He looked at the clock, then out the window toward the water. There was movement. A dark shape near the boathouse. He went outside, barefoot, freezing. But when he got there, there was nothing. Just silence. Low wind. The sound of his breath quickening. As he turned back toward the house, the upstairs window light flickered on. And for a split second he saw a face looking down at him. Small. Round. Like a child's. But the kids were asleep. Soft whisper trails behind his breathing. George? The next morning, Kathy found the door ripped from its hinges. George swore he hadn't touched it. From then on, the nights grew colder. Every morning, 3:15 a.m., like clockwork, George would wake up. And every time he'd find something else wrong. A window jammed, furniture moved, crosses upside down. Music swells slowly with low strings. The kids started talking about a new friend. A little girl named Jody. Missy said Jody lived in her room and didn't like strangers. When Kathy asked what she looked like, Missy smiled and said, "She's nice, but sometimes she has red eyes." Quick flash of static. A child's giggle echoes. Voiceover, whispering now, almost afraid to speak it aloud. By the seventh night, George began to change. He stopped shaving. Stopped going to work. He spent hours chopping wood, staring into the flames, mumbling that the house was freezing, even though every thermostat read 75. Kathy said it was like living with a stranger. His eyes seemed darker. His voice deeper. And sometimes when he looked at her, she swore it wasn't him looking back. Low rumble builds under the narration, the faint sound of distant thunder. The family tried to stay strong, praying, blessing rooms, burning sage. But whatever was in that house wasn't leaving. In fact, it was getting stronger. The lights flicker. Children's laughter distorts. A door slams shut. Voiceover, quiet, final line. And then came day 13. The night the house finally decided to make itself known. Cut to black. Faint whisper, "Don't leave me." Black screen. Distant thunder rumbles. Then silence. The faint ticking of a clock. 3:15 a.m. Voiceover, tense low tone. It's the 13th night. The coldest one yet. George Lutz jolts awake, heart pounding. He doesn't know why. But he knows, something is wrong. Slow camera pan through the dark hallway, faint breathing, the floor creaks. He moves toward the stairs, careful not to wake Kathy or the kids. Halfway down he stops. There's a smell, thick rotten. Like sewage and blood. Distant whisper, "George, she's waiting." He grips the railing. The wood feels warm. Then, a sudden crash echoes from the living room. When he gets there, every picture frame in the house is face down. The crucifix above the fireplace, upside down. And in the corner something moves. It's the rocking chair, swaying slowly back and forth. But no one's sitting in it. A deep, slow creak fills the silence. Voiceover, steady, investigative tone. Kathy wakes up moments later to the sound of her daughter screaming. She runs to Missy's room, and freezes. All the furniture is pushed against the wall. The window is wide open, even though it's snowing outside. And Missy is sitting in the middle of the room, staring at the closet door. Kathy, trembling, "Honey, what happened?" Missy doesn't answer. She just points. Kathy slowly turns toward the closet, and that's when she sees it. Two small red lights, glowing in the dark, right where a pair of eyes would be. A sharp violin sting, then silence. When George rushes in, the lights are gone. But tiny hoof prints cover the floor, burned into the wood. Music builds, slow, pulsating bass. The next morning, Kathy begs George to leave the house. But he refuses. He says, "It's just the stress. We're staying. This is our home." Except the house didn't agree. That afternoon, black slime began oozing from the keyholes. The walls dripped with a thick, foul liquid, no smell, no source. And when George tried to wipe it away, the stains came back within hours. The priest they called refused to enter the home again. He told Kathy the same thing he'd said on the first day they moved in, when the voice whispered to him inside the empty guest room, "Get out." Static hums beneath the silence. By day 20, the family was breaking apart. George was hearing voices, deep, rhythmic chants that echoed through the vents. Kathy was waking up with bruises she couldn't explain. And the children had stopped sleeping entirely. Every night it was the same. 3:15 a.m. The wind outside. The whispers. The sound of footsteps pacing the hallway, even when everyone was in bed. Slowly building hum of fear. Voiceover, quiet, almost whispering. On the 23rd night, Kathy said she saw something standing at the foot of her bed. A dark figure, tall and still, its outline flickering like smoke. When she reached for the lamp, it leaned closer and whispered her name. A single piano note echoes. She screamed. And the sound woke the entire house. Doors slammed. Windows shattered. The temperature dropped in seconds. And when George ran to her room, the walls were moving, breathing. Low, slow inhale and exhale fills the soundscape. The next morning they didn't talk about it. They just packed what they could. By that night they were gone. 28 days after moving in, the Lutz family fled 112 Ocean Avenue, leaving everything behind. Camera pans through empty rooms, toys on the floor, a Bible open on a table, curtains swaying in still air. Voiceover, final, calm but eerie tone. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened inside that house. Some say it was psychological. Others say it was something much darker. But one thing is certain. Whatever lived inside 112 Ocean Avenue never really left. The house fades into darkness. A faint whisper lingers, "Come back." Opening shot. The house silent at dawn. The front door hangs open, curtains fluttering in the cold wind. The family is gone. Voiceover, calm, reflective tone. January 14, 1976. The Lutz family fled 112 Ocean Avenue, and never went back. They left everything behind, clothes, food, toys, even the dog's leash still by the door. It was as if they'd run for their lives in the middle of the night. Cut to news footage from the time, reporters, cameras flashing. Within days the story spread like wildfire. "Family flees haunted house," screamed the headlines. Skeptics called it a hoax. Believers said it was proof, the most haunted home in America. But no matter which side you were on, one question lingered. What really happened inside that house? Soft, uneasy piano music fades in. George and Kathy agreed to take a lie detector test. They passed. Both of them. Paranormal investigators moved in next. Reporters, psychics, priests. They said the house pulsed with energy as if it was still alive, still listening. One photo from that investigation would go on to terrify the world. A small boy peeking out from an upstairs doorway, glowing eyes staring straight into the camera. Image flashes, slow zoom on the boy's pale face. Voiceover, softer now, almost whispering. No one could explain it. The house was empty that night. And yet, every photo, every recording, every interview seemed to carry the same quiet hum in the background. A sound no one noticed until years later. Low, distant whisper emerges, faintly audible, "Get out." The new owners who moved in after the Lutz family claimed they experienced nothing. No whispers. No smells. No strange voices at 3:15 a.m. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. Camera slowly pans across the empty living room, dust motes floating in sunlight. The years passed. The address was changed. The house repainted. But still, people come to stand on the sidewalk and stare at it. Some say they feel nothing. Others say the air gets heavier, colder. Like something old is watching from the attic window. Wind howls. Children's laughter echoes faintly, then fades. Voiceover, final, haunting tone. The Lutz family never looked back. But sometimes when George was asked about that house, he'd pause and say he still woke up at 3:15 a.m. every night. Even decades later. The screen darkens. The house fades into the night sky. Because maybe the haunting didn't end when they left. Maybe it followed them home. Soft whisper fades in, "Come back."